In a distant galaxy, on the planet of Zalith, a peaceful species known as the Thren were facing a great danger. For centuries, they lived in harmony, surrounded by vast forests and shimmering lakes. However, a ruthless faction of raiders had emerged from the shadows, attacking their villages and stealing their resources. The Thren needed help but were wary of asking for assistance, knowing that many beings in the universe viewed them as weak. A young Thren named Lyra, filled with courage, decided to send a message across the stars. With a trembling hand, she typed a plea for aid into the ancient communication device. "Help us, please. We face terrible danger," she wrote, sending the message into the void, hoping for a miracle. Little did she know that her call would be answered in an unexpected way. On Earth, a group of scientists and adventurers led by Dr. Elara Morgan was intrigued by the Thren's message. Elara was known for her determination and love for exploration. With a small team of Earth's finest, including her robotic assistant, K8, a brilliant engineer named Max, and a brave pilot named Jamal, they sought to answer the call for help. "We cannot ignore this message," Elara said to her team. "These beings are in trouble. We must go." The journey through space was long and filled with anticipation. Each team member had their own thoughts and fears. Jamal wondered if the Thren would accept help from what they called Death Worlders, while K8 scanned the stars, calculating potential risks. Max, with his ever-optimistic spirit, encouraged them all. When they finally arrived at Zalith, they were met with stunning views of lush greenery and sparkling waters. However, the atmosphere was tense. As they landed their spacecraft in a clearing, Lyra and a small gathering of Thren approached, their bright green skin glistening under the sun. "Who are you?" Lyra asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We come in peace," Elara replied, stepping forward. "We receive your message and want to help." Lyra exchanged glances with the others. "We are grateful, but we have heard stories of Deathworlders. You are strong and fierce. We do not wish for conflict." Elara smiled kindly. "We are here to protect you, not to fight you. We have faced many challenges on Earth. We know how to fight back." After a long discussion, Lyra decided to take a chance. "Very well, we will trust you. Our village is not far. Follow us." As they walked, Lyra explained the situation. The raiders had been attacking regularly, stealing what little resources they had. She led Elara's team to her village, which was surrounded by high walls made of intertwined trees. However, within, they could see the fear in the eyes of the villagers. The Thren were scared, and the weight of their vulnerability hung heavily in the air. Elara gathered everyone in the village square. "We need to prepare," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We will train together. We can show you how to defend yourselves." Max took charge of setting up training sessions. He taught the Thren about teamwork and tactical strategies. Elara worked on strengthening their defenses, using materials they found around the village. K8 assisted by analyzing the raiders' behaviors, predicting when they would strike next. Days passed, and a bond began to form between the Earth team and the Thren. Lyra, having trained alongside them, grew stronger and more confident. She learned to wield a weapon, albeit a simple one, and her spirit shone like never before. However, one night, the calm was shattered when the alarms rang out. Raiders were approaching. The Thren couldn't believe their ears. Panic erupted in the village as everyone rushed to their posts. But Lyra stood tall, heart pounding, with Elara beside her. "Remember what we practice." Elara shouted, rallying them. "Stay focused. Hold your ground." As the raiders charged in, the Thren fought back fiercely. Lyra, with a makeshift spear, found herself facing an enemy. She recalled Elara's words and struck true. Jamal soared overhead in the spacecraft, providing cover and distraction. K8 relayed strategic commands, guiding the Thren to hold their positions and flank the raiders. After what felt like an eternity of fighting, the raiders began to retreat, realizing that the Thren were not as defenseless as they had thought. With a final courageous push, Lyra and Elara led the charge that drove the attackers away from their village. As the dust settled, victory filled the air. The Thren erupted in cheers, their spirits high. They had fought for their home and won. Ilara, Max, and Jamal joined in the celebration, but their work was not done. They knew the raiders would return. "We must plan for the future," Ilara said, addressing everyone. "You have shown great bravery today. Together, we can build a stronger defense." Lyra, glowing with newfound confidence, responded, "And we will learn to stand on our own with your help." Over the following weeks, the Earth team and the Thren worked side by side. They improved defenses, created weaponry, and built a stronger community. Trust deepened and friendships flourished. The bond formed amidst adversity became a shining example of unity. One evening, as the sun set over Zalith, the sky painted in shades of orange and purple, Lyra stood with Ilara by the lake. "Thank you for believing in us," she said softly. Ilara smiled. "It was your courage that inspired us all. You are strong, Lyra. Never doubt that." As the stars twinkled above, Lyra understood that they had formed a partnership that transcended their differences. They had faced danger and emerged victorious together, proving that in unity there is strength. Far away in the stars, hope blossomed, reminding them that sometimes aid can come from the most unexpected places, and even Deathworlders can become protectors, friends, and allies. Hashtag they asked for aid. Type Sci-fi. The blinking red light on the console screamed urgency, a jarring counterpoint to the sterile hum of the Xylosian command center. Ilara, the communications officer, tapped a slender finger against the panel, her brow furrowed with worry. "Another distress signal, Commander Theron," she announced, her voice echoing slightly in the large room. "From the Kepler 186F colony. They're under attack, requesting immediate assistance." Theron, a seasoned commander with eyes that held the weight of countless battles, strode towards Ilara. He studied the flickering message on the screen, his expression grim. "The Kthar again," he sighed, rubbing his temples. "Those barbaric scavengers. Kepler, 186F is too far for our fleet to reach in time. By the time we arrive, there won't be anything left." The Kthar were a notorious race of nomadic raiders, known for their brutality and insatiable hunger for resources. They preyed on weaker colonies, leaving devastation in their wake. Kepler 186F, a young and relatively defenseless colony, was an easy target. "What about the Galactic Concord?" Ilara suggested, hope flickering in her eyes. "Surely they can offer aid." Theron shook his head. "The Concord is slow, burdened by bureaucracy and political maneuvering. They'll debate the issue for weeks while Kepler 186F burns. There's nothing we can do." A heavy silence fell over the command center, punctuated only by the persistent blinking of the distress signal. The weight of their helplessness was palpable. Suddenly, a new signal pierced through the despair. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The energy signature was raw, untamed, and terrifying. "Commander!" Ilara exclaimed, her fingers flying across the console. Unknown vessel entering the system. Energy readings off the charts. Theron watched as a blip appeared on a long-range scanner, growing larger at an alarming rate. The vessel was moving with incredible speed, ignoring all established protocols. "Hail them," Theron ordered, his voice sharp. "Identify yourselves." Static crackled from the speakers, followed by a voice, deep and resonant, that seemed to vibrate the very floor of the command center. "This is the cruiser Endeavor of the Terran Federation. We received a distress call. Identify yourselves and state the nature of the emergency." Terran Federation? Theron exchanged confused glances with Ilara. Neither of them had ever heard of such a faction. The Galactic Concord, for all its flaws, maintained a comprehensive database of known spacefaring civilizations. The Terran Federation was not listed. "We are the Xylosian Protectorate," Theron replied cautiously. "The colony of Kepler 186F is under attack by the Kthar. We are unable to provide immediate assistance." "Kthar." The voice on the other end was laced with an unfamiliar emotion. "Amusement? We'll handle it. Stand aside." Before Theron could respond, the Endeavor surged forward, its engines burning with an intensity that warped space around it. It moved towards Kepler, 186F like a predator stalking its prey. On Kepler 186F, The situation was dire. The Cthar ships, crude but numerous, rained down fire upon the colony's meager defenses. Buildings crumbled, energy shields flickered and died, and the air was filled with the screams of the dying. Jara, a young colonist who had dreamed of building a life on this new world, huddled with her family in a makeshift shelter. Hope had long since given way to despair. They were going to die here, another forgotten statistic in the Cthar-esque reign of terror. Suddenly, the sky lit up with a blinding flash of light. A single ship, sleek and powerful, tore through the Cthar blockade, its weapons firing with pinpoint accuracy. Cthar ships exploded in rapid succession, their debris raining down upon the planet. Jara peered out of the shelter, her eyes wide with disbelief. The ship moved with a speed and ferocity she had never witnessed before. It was like a mythical dragon, wreaking havoc upon its enemies. On board the Endeavor, Captain Eva Rostova surveyed the battlefield with cold, calculating eyes. She was a veteran of countless conflicts, a warrior forged in the fires of a brutal and unforgiving galaxy. Earth had seen its fair share of horrors, and its people had learned to survive and to fight back. "Target their command ship," she ordered, her voice calm and steady. "Eliminate their leadership. Show them what happens when you prey on the weak." The Endeavor's main cannon charged, unleashing a devastating blast that vaporized the Cthar command ship in a single shot. The remaining Cthar vessels, leaderless and demoralized, scattered like frightened animals. Within hours, the battle was over. The Cthar fleet was decimated, their attack repelled. Kepler 186F was safe, at least for now. Back on the Xylosian command center, Theron and Alera watched in stunned silence as the Endeavor systematically eliminated the Cthar threat. They had never seen such a display of power, such a ruthless efficiency. "Who are these Terrans?" Theron whispered, his voice filled with awe and a hint of fear. "What kind of people are they?" The Endeavor transmitted a message to the Xylosian command center. "The Cthar are gone. We will remain in orbit to provide assistance. Consider this a debt repaid. Earth never forgets those who cry for help." Then the Endeavor went silent, its sensor scanning the surrounding space. It was a silent guardian, a watchful protector. On Kepler 186F, Jara emerged from the shelter, blinking in the sunlight. She looked up at the ship in the sky, a symbol of hope in a world that had seemed lost. She didn't know who these Terrans were, but she knew that they had saved her life. News of the Terrans' intervention spread like wildfire throughout the galaxy. Some hailed them as heroes. Others feared them as warmongers. The Galactic Concord, initially dismissive, scrambled to gather information about this new and formidable power. Theron knew that the arrival of the Terran Federation had changed everything. The balance of power had shifted, and the galaxy would never be the same. He looked at Alera, his eyes filled with a mix of apprehension and excitement. "Prepare a diplomatic mission," he said. "We need to learn more about these Deathworlders of Earth." The galaxy had asked for aid, and the Deathworlders had answered. But what would their arrival mean for the future? Only time would tell. The age of the Terran Federation had begun. In a distant galaxy, on a planet named Zorth, the Zorathians faced a terrible crisis. Their home was suffering from a long and harsh drought. Crops were withering, water supplies were running dry, and the people were growing desperate. They decided to send out a call for help, hoping for aid from advanced civilizations. The message traveled through space, reaching various star systems. Many received the message, but most only offered words of comfort. They promised that one day they would help, but they could not act immediately. However, far away, on a small blue planet known as Earth, something entirely unexpected happened. Captain Maya Thompson of the Earth Patrol ship Discovery was on routine surveillance when a distress signal from Zorth came through. She was a brave and skilled captain, often admired for her quick thinking and determination. When Maya read the distress message, she felt a strange mix of emotions: curiosity about the alien civilization, concern for their plight, and an undeniable urge to help. "Captain, are we really going to respond to this call?" her first officer, Alex, asked. "This isn't even our territory." "They're suffering, Alex," Maya replied. "They call for help, and we have to do something." We may not have advanced technology like some other civilizations, but Earth is strong and resilient. We'll go. After a quick discussion with her crew, consisting of Chief Engineer Lisa, Pilot Jamal, and Communications Officer Tara, they prepared for their journey. The ship, Discovery, was old but reliable. It took them across the vast emptiness of space, entering the Zorith star system after days of travel. As they approached Zorith, Maya couldn't help but marvel at its beauty from the ship's viewport. The planet was radiant with shades of blue and green, lush landscapes with towering mountains and vibrant cities. However, the signs of drought were evident. Patches of brown where crops used to flourish. They landed in a designated area, and as the ship settled on the ground, the crew stepped outside. The air was dry and hot, unusual for such a beautiful planet. Waiting for them was a group of Zorathians, tall with shimmering skin, wide eyes, and long limbs. They looked worried but curious, whispering among themselves. "We are here to help," Maya announced in a warm and confident tone. "I am Captain Maya Thompson of Earth. We received your signal, and we're ready to assist." The Zorathians were cautious. Their leader, a wise woman named Irina, stepped forward. "You came, but we did not expect. Deathworlders." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Deathworlders? What does that mean?" "It's a term we use for planets where life is harsh and survival is a constant struggle. Earth is known as a death world. Your people are strong, but also dangerous." Maya smiled. "We may be tough, but we come in peace. Let us see your situation." Under Irina's guidance, they traveled to the heart of Zoritha's farming land. They found fields barren and dry, with farmers working hard but hopelessly. The Zorathians explained that without rain, their crops could not survive. They needed technology to help them find water before their civilization fell apart. Maya thought quickly. "We can assist in finding water. We have technology to create rain, but first, we need to understand your land and its needs." Over the next few days, Lisa and Jamal worked tirelessly with Zorathian engineers. They shared ideas and knowledge about irrigation, sustainable farming methods, and most importantly, weather modification technology that Earth had developed. Meanwhile, Terra communicated with Earth, sending updates back home, and even though the Earthlings were far from their planet, they felt united in this new mission. As time passed, a bond formed between the Earth crew and the Zorathians. They laughed together, shared stories of their worlds, and even enjoyed meals made from what little crops could still be harvested. In return for technological help, the Zorathians offered their rich cultural experiences. They introduced the humans to their music, dance, and food. However, a storm brewed on the horizon, both literally and figuratively. The Zorathians relied heavily on their tradition and pride. Some resisted the new methods proposed by the Earthlings, fearing that it might change their way of life forever. One evening, during a meeting, a young Zorathian named Kale stood up angrily. "You think you can come here and save us with your foreign technology? We have survived for centuries without Earth. We will not rely on Deathworlders." Maya stepped forward with a calm demeanor. "Kale, I understand your fears, but think about your people. You are losing everything. This isn't about changing your way of life. It's about preserving it." The room fell silent. Irina, watching her people, finally spoke. "We must adapt to survive. Change is part of life. Perhaps we can blend our traditions with your technology." Slowly, the Zorathians began to understand. The crew worked harder than ever to uphold their promise. After weeks of collaboration, the weather modification machines were ready to be tested. They tallied the data, set the parameters, and prayed for success. The day of the test arrived. Maya and her team stood alongside the Zorathians, their hearts racing. The machine roared to life, sending waves of energy into the sky. Clouds began to form, thick and dark. Maya's eyes lit up with hope, and then, with a rumble, rain began to fall. It started as a light drizzle, and then transformed into a downpour. Cheers erupted from both Earthlings and Zorathians alike. The dry ground soaked up the water, and across the fields, the people danced in joy. A sense of unity grew, stronger than anyone had hoped. Kale approached Maya with a smile, realizing that change could lead to salvation. "Thank you, Captain. Perhaps you aren't so dangerous after all." Maya chuckled. We're all just trying to survive out here. As the rain soaked Zorth, the Zorathians learned to embrace the Earth Crew's knowledge, and together they planted new seeds. A new beginning bloomed, not only for Zorth, but for an extraordinary friendship between two different worlds. With the drought crisis averted, the Earth Crew prepared to return home. They boarded the Discovery with heavy hearts, but also with the promise of future collaboration. Maya glanced back at the Zorathians, now waving goodbye. She felt hope sparkle in her chest. One message of aid had led to a journey of friendship, trust, and shared dreams. They may have come to help, but they had also learned from each other, proving that strength lies in unity, no matter the world you hail from. Characters: Asterisk Jax, a young and optimistic Xandarian diplomat. Asterisk Krell, a hardened Earth Marine, known for his stoicism and combat prowess. Asterisk Zara, the wise and pragmatic leader of the Xandarian Council. Asterisk Captain Eva Rostova, the battle-hardened captain of the Earth battlecruiser Dauntless. Type Sci-fi. The distress call pulsed across the Galactic comms network, a desperate plea from the Xandarian colonies on the Outer Rim. Marauders, savage and relentless, were tearing through the settlements, leaving destruction in their wake. The Xandarians, a peaceful race of farmers and artisans, were ill-equipped to defend themselves. Their message was simple: we need aid. Please, someone help us. Jax, a young and eager Xandarian diplomat, was among the first to hear the call at the Xandarian Council. His heart ached with the suffering conveyed in the garbled transmission. We must respond immediately, he urged the council, his voice filled with youthful fervor. Zara, the council leader, a woman etched with the wisdom of years, raised a calming hand. Patience, Jax. We have already sent a call for assistance to the Galactic Concord, but they're stretched thin. Their response may be too late. Days turn into agonizing weeks. The Xandarian colonies continue to fall, their pleas growing more frantic. Then, a flicker of hope, a response, but not from the Concord. An unknown vessel approaches our system. Announce a tense voice from the comm station. It identifies as Dauntless, Earth Navy. Earth, a planet shrouded in myth and legend, whispered about in hushed tones in galactic circles. A death world, they called it, inhabited by humans, a species renowned for their resilience, their aggression, and their unparalleled capacity for war. Zara, despite her reservations, saw no other option. Establish communication, she commanded. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Eva Rostova, a woman with eyes as cold and sharp as glacial ice, listened to the Xandarian plea. She had seen enough war in her life to last several lifetimes, but the desperation in their voices resonated with her. We received your call, she said, her voice firm and devoid of emotion. We are here to help. Jax, watching the transmission on the council screen, felt a surge of relief mixed with trepidation. The humans were coming. But what did that mean for his people? The Dauntless arrived in the Xandarian system, like a harbinger storm. Its massive form dwarfed the Xandarian defense ships, its weapons bristling with deadly intent. Accompanying it were several cruisers and destroyers, a small but formidable battle group. The Xandarians watched in awe and fear as the Earth ships moved into defensive positions around their remaining colonies. They had asked for aid, but the Deathworlders of Earth had arrived. The first engagement was swift and brutal. The Marauders, emboldened by their previous victories, attacked without hesitation, but they were met with a ferocity they had never encountered before. The Earth ships unleashed a storm of plasma fire, vaporizing Marauder vessels in blinding flashes. Earth fighters, sleek and deadly, danced through the void, tearing apart enemy craft with pinpoint accuracy. On the ground, the Earth Marines, clad in advanced combat armor, moved with ruthless efficiency. Among them was Krell, a Marine known for his stoicism and his deadly aim. He had seen action on countless worlds, his face a mask of grim determination. Move out. Secure the perimeter, he barked, his voice amplified by his helmet. No quarter. The Marauders, used to preying on defenseless civilians, were caught completely off guard. They fought with savage desperation, but they were no match for the Earth Marine's superior training and firepower. Krell moved to the battlefield like a ghost, his rifle spitting death. He took down marauders with cold precision, his every movement calculated and efficient. He was a weapon, honed perfection by years of war. The tide had turned. The Xandarians watched in disbelief as the Earth forces systematically eliminated the marauder threat. Hope began to bloom in their hearts, a fragile flower pushing to the ashes of despair. Jax, eager to understand their saviors, requested a meeting with Captain Rostova. He was granted an audience on the bridge of the Dauntless. He stood before her, a small and nervous figure in his diplomatic robes, facing the imposing captain in her crisp uniform. "Captain Rostova," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "I thank you, on behalf of my people, for your assistance. But I must confess, we are intimidated by your presence." Rostova regarded him with her cold, unwavering gaze. "We are not here to conquer, Xandarian," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. "We are here to protect you. You asked for aid and we answered. But why?" Jax asked, his curiosity overcoming his fear. "Why would you risk your own forces for a species you barely know?" Rostova paused, her gaze drifting towards the stars. "Because," she said, "we know what it is like to be vulnerable. We know what it is like to fight for survival. And we believe that every species deserves a chance to live in peace." The fighting continued for weeks, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Earth forces, with their superior technology and unwavering resolve, systematically crushed the marauders. The Xandarian colonies were liberated, their people freed from the tyranny of the raiders. As the last of the marauders were driven from the system, Zara addressed the Earth forces on behalf of the Xandarian Council. "You came to us in our darkest hour," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You showed us the true meaning of courage and compassion. We will never forget your sacrifice." Rostova nodded, a flicker of something that might have been a smile playing on her lips. "We were glad to help," she said. "But remember, Xandarians, the galaxy is a dangerous place. You must learn to defend yourselves. We cannot always be there to protect you." With that, the Earth fleet prepared to depart. Jax, standing on a landing platform, watched as the Dauntless and its escorts ascended into the void. He felt a profound sense of gratitude, but also a sense of unease. The Death Worlders of Earth had saved them, but they had also shown them a glimpse of the darkness that lurked in the galaxy, a darkness that the peaceful Xandarians were ill-prepared to face. As the Earth ships disappeared into hyperspace, Jax knew that the Xandarian people had a long and difficult road ahead. They had been given a second chance, but it was up to them to make the most of it. They had asked for aid, and the Death Worlders of Earth had come. Now, they had to learn to stand on their own. They had to learn to be strong. They had to learn to survive. The debt to Earth was a heavy one, but it was a debt they were determined to repay, not with mere gratitude, but with the promise of a stronger, more resilient Xandarian future. On a distant planet named Dracora, the inhabitants faced a dire situation. Their planet was rich in resources but lacked the technology to defend themselves against invading warlike species. The Dracarians sent out a call for help, broadcasting a message across the galaxies, hoping for a peaceful solution. Meanwhile, on Earth, a small group of adventurers were about to answer that call. The Earth team was led by Captain Sarah Harris, a skilled pilot who had explored many strange worlds. Her team included Leo, a brilliant engineer who could fix anything, Mia, a medic with a kind heart, and Jake, a tough soldier trained for combat. They were known as the Guardians, and they often lent a hand to those in need. When they received the Dracora message, they couldn't ignore it. Suiting up in their space gear, Sarah, Leo, Mia, and Jake gathered in their ship, the Star Eagle. It was a sleek, silver ship equipped with advanced technology from Earth. As they set their course toward Dracora, they felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. What awaited them on this alien world? When they arrived, Dracora looked beautiful. Its skies were a deep blue, and green mountains towered against the horizon. However, as they descended, they saw signs of destruction. Smoke rose in the distance, and an air of despair hung over the land. They landed in a small clearing and stepped out, greeted by a group of Dracarians who looked frightened and weary. "Welcome, Earthlings," said a tall Dracaran named Elder Korn, with scales shimmering under the sunlight. "Thank you for coming to our aid." Sarah smiled warmly. We're here to help. What is the problem? Korn explained that their planet was under attack by the Zalthar, a ruthless race that sought to plunder Drakkara's resources. The Dracarians had tried to defend themselves, but their weapons were no match for the Zalthar's advanced technology and brute strength. They needed more than just a defense. They needed a plan. The team of Earthlings exchanged glances. We can help you fight, Jake said boldly. But we need more information about the Zalthar. What are their weaknesses? Elder Korra nodded, appreciating their courage. The Zalthar rely on their strength, but they are not very clever. If we can outsmart them, we may have a chance. They spent the next few days learning the terrain and gathering intelligence on the Zalthar. Leo worked with Drakran engineers to design new weapons, while Mia treated the wounded from previous battles. They even took time to bond with the Dracarians, sharing stories and learning about their culture. One night, while watching the stars, Sarah and Jake sat on a hilltop. This place is amazing, Sarah said. It reminds me of Earth, but feels so much more alive. Jake chuckled. Yeah, but it's hard to be in awe when you're preparing for war. The next day, the Zalthar launched a surprise attack. Their ships blotted out the sky as they descended on Drakkara. Panic spread to the Dracarian village, and Sarah quickly rallied her team. Let's show them what we got, she shouted, leading the way. The Guardians fought bravely alongside the Dracarians, using their weapons and skills to push back the invaders. The Earthlings used cunning tactics, leading the Zalthar into traps and outsmarting them at every turn. During the battle, Mia worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. When she saw a Drakran soldier fall, she rushed to his side. Stay with me, she urged, applying bandages as best she could. We can win this, he gasped, his eyes filled with hope. As the battle raged on, Jake found himself face to face with a massive Zalthar warrior. The Zalthar swung a heavy club at him, but Jake ducked and rolled, countering with a powerful kick that sent the creature sprawling. You're not getting through me, Jake shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He fought fiercely, but knew they couldn't hold out forever. Meanwhile, Sarah and Korra made their way toward the Zalthar flagship, which loomed ominously in the sky. If we can take that ship down, we might turn the tide, Sarah said, determination in her voice. With the help of Leo's engineering skills, they devised a plan to sabotage the Zalthar's weapon systems. They sneaked aboard the flagship while the battle continued on the ground. Tension thick in the air. Inside the ship, alarms blared as they navigated the narrow hallways. They encountered some Zalthar guards and fought with quiet intensity, using their training to outmaneuver the enemies in narrow corridors. After a series of quick battles, they reached the control room. Leo worked swiftly, his fingers flying over the control panel. I think I could disable their weapons. Just cover me. As they battled off incoming Zalthar troops, Sarah kept her eyes on Leo. Hurry, Leo. We need to get out of here. With a final keystroke, Leo disabled the Zalthar guns. Got it. Now let's go, he yelled, racing back toward the ship. Outside, Jake, Sarah, Mia, and the Dracarians fought valiantly. With the Zalthar's weapons disabled, the tide turned. Energy surged through the Dracarians as they fought back against their oppressors. Just as the last Zalthar was pushed back, the flagship began to explode. We need to evacuate, Sarah shouted. They joined the retreat and ran toward their ship, the Star Eagle. As they boarded, the crew watched the Dracarians cheer. They had driven the invaders away, but at a cost. Many warriors were lost, and the scars of battle would remain. However, they had reclaimed their dignity and hope. Back on board the Star Eagle, the Earth team shared a moment of relief. We did it, Mia said, her voice soft but full of emotion. Korn approached them, gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you, Earthlings. You came not just for aid, but to stand with us like true allies. Sarah nodded. We'll always help those in need. We're all connected now by bravery and friendship. As the Star Eagle soared back into space, the team reflected on their adventure. They had faced danger, but found strength and unity. And in that vast universe, they made a new friend. Drakkara would never be alone again. Asterisk Anya, a young and idealistic diplomat from the peaceful planet of Xylos. Asterisk Commander Rex, a hardened and pragmatic leader of the Earth's Death Worlder Intervention Force. Asterisk Zorgan, the ruthless and cunning warlord of the KRYLL Empire. Type Sci-fi. The distress signal flickered across the galactic net. A desperate plea from a world on the brink. Anya, a wide-eyed Xylotian diplomat, felt a surge of sympathy. Her people, the Xylotians, were known for their peaceful nature and diplomatic prowess. They always answered calls for help. Xylo's command, this is Planet Ethel. We are under attack by the KRYLL Empire. Our defenses are failing. We request immediate assistance. Please, anyone, help us. Anya rushed to the council chambers, her long, flowing robes trailing behind her. We must respond, she urged the assembled Xylotian elders. Ethel is a peaceful planet. They don't deserve this. The elders, wise and cautious, exchanged worried glances. The KRYLL Empire was a brutal force, known for its ruthlessness and insatiable hunger for conquest. Direct confrontation was a risky proposition. We will send a diplomatic envoy, Elder Theron finally declared. We will attempt to negotiate a peaceful resolution. Anya's heart sank. Negotiation was the Xylotian way, but against the KRYLL, it felt like offering flowers to a raging fire. Still, she held her tongue. Meanwhile, on Earth, the same distress signal blared in the war room of the Deathworlder Intervention Force, DIF. Commander Rex, a man carved from granite and grit, listened with narrowed eyes. Earth had earned its reputation as a death world for a reason. Its inhabitants were hardy, resilient, and possessed a primal ferocity that often shocked the galaxy. The DIF was Earth's answer to galactic crises, a force designed to handle threats too dangerous for others. KRYLL, huh? Rex grunted, stroking his close-cropped beard, always causing trouble. Intelligence suggests they're after Ethel's resources commander, reported Lieutenant Chun. The planet is rich in a rare mineral vital for their war machines. Rex slammed a fist on the table. They're not getting it. Prep the fleet. We're going in. Sir, are you sure? The Xylotians have also answered the call. They're sending a diplomatic mission. Rex scoffed. Diplomacy? Against the KRYLL? That's like trying to reason with a hungry predator. We're bringing firepower. As the Xylotian envoy, led by Anya, approached Ethel, they were met with a horrifying sight. KRYLL warships orbited the planet like vultures, bombarding the surface with relentless energy blasts. The once vibrant cities were now smoldering ruins. This is a massacre, Anya whispered, her voice trembling. Their shuttle was intercepted by a KRYLL fighter. A gruff voice crackled over the comms. Xylotian vessel, you are in KRYLL territory. Prepare to be boarded. Anya, despite her fear, stood tall. We are here on a peaceful mission. We wish to speak with your leader. The KRYLL pilot laughed, a chilling metallic sound. Peace? There's only conquest. Prepare to be annihilated. Before the KRYLL fighter could open fire, a streak of light flashed past, obliterating it in a single blast. A squadron of Earth fighter ships, sleek and deadly, appeared in the sky, emblazoned with the emblem of the DIF. Xylotian vessel, this is Commander Rex of the Earth Deathworlder Intervention Force. We're here to help. Follow us. Anya stared in disbelief. The Earth ships were unlike anything she had ever seen. They exuded power, aggression, and an almost palpable sense of danger. The Earth fleet engaged the KRYLL warships in a furious battle. Missiles streaked across the void, energy beams clashed, and explosions rocked the heavens. The KRYLL, initially confident, were caught off guard by the Earthlings' relentless assault. The DIF fighters were faster, more maneuverable, and their weapons packed a far greater punch than KRYLL had anticipated. On the ground, chaos reigned. KRYLL ground troops, monstrous insectoids with razor-sharp claws and energy rifles, rampaged through the ruins, slaughtering anyone who stood in their way. The Athelian resistance fighters, brave but outmatched, fought desperately to defend their homes. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Drop pods, emblazoned with the Earth emblem, slammed into the ground, disgorging heavily armed Earth soldiers. The Deathworlders had arrived. Commander Rex led the charge, his massive frame-clad in powered armor, a plasma rifle in his hands. He moved with a speed and ferocity that belied his size, cutting down KRYLL warriors with brutal efficiency. The other Earth soldiers followed his lead, unleashing a storm of bullets, grenades, and plasma fire. The KRYLL, accustomed to easy victories against weaker foes, were stunned by the Earthlings' ferocity. They had never encountered anything like this before. These humans were relentless, fearless, and seemingly impervious to pain. They fought with a savage intensity that bordered on madness. Anya and her envoy, after landing on the surface, watched in a mix of awe and horror. The Earthlings were saving Ethel, but their methods were extreme. They showed no mercy, no hesitation, only a grim determination to destroy the enemy. Is this necessary? Anya asked one of the Earth soldiers, a young woman with a scarred face and cold eyes. The soldier glanced at Anya, her expression unreadable. Necessary? The KRYLO are going to wipe this planet clean. We're just making sure they don't. The battle raged for days. The Earth forces, despite being outnumbered, slowly but surely pushed back the KRYLO. Commander Rex, leading from the front, became a symbol of hope for the Athelians and a figure of terror for the KRYLO. Finally, the KRYLO warlord Zorgan arrived at his flagship, a monstrous vessel bristling with weapons. He was a cunning and ruthless commander, and he was determined to crush the Earthlings and claim Ethel for his empire. Zorgan contacted Commander Rex directly. Deathworlder, you have interfered with the KRYL Empire. You will pay the price. Rex simply grinned, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Come and get it. The final battle took place in the skies above Ethel. Zorgan's flagship unleashed its full firepower, but the Earth fleet, augmented by Athelian fighters, stood firm. Rex personally led the attack, his fighter weaving through a barrage of energy blasts, closing in on Zorgan's ship. In a daring maneuver, Rex rammed his fighter into flagship's bridge, triggering a massive explosion. Zorgan's ship, crippled and burning, began to fall from the sky. With their leader gone and their flagship destroyed, the KRYL forces broke and fled. The battle was over. Ethel was saved. Anya approached Commander Rex amidst the wreckage, her expression a mixture of gratitude and unease. Commander, we thank you for your help. You saved our planet. Rex nodded, his face grim. We did what we had to do. But your methods, they were so violent. Rex looked at her, his eyes hard. The galaxy is a dangerous place, little diplomat. Sometimes violence is the only language some understand. The Xylotian way is admirable, but against a force like the KRYL, it's useless. You asked for aid. We gave it, in the only way we know how. Anya looked around at the devastated landscape, at the fallen KRYL warriors, at the weary but triumphant Earth soldiers. She understood what Rex meant. The Deathworlders of Earth had come to Ethel, and they had brought with them not peace, but victory. In a distant galaxy, on a small planet named Theron, a unique race known as the Therans faced a grave danger. Their once thriving world was languishing under a severe drought. The sun blazed unforgivingly, and rivers that used to teem with life were now parched beds. The Theran people were simple and peaceful, skilled in growing various crops and raising animals. However, without water, their way of life was crumbling. In their desperation, the Therans decided to reach out to other worlds for help. They sent out a distress signal, hoping to find someone who could assist them. Days turned into weeks, and just when hope seemed lost, a bright star streaked across the sky, blinding them with its brilliance. It landed softly near the northern fields, sending a ripple of curiosity and fear through the Theran village. As the dust settled, a door opened, revealing strange beings. They were the Deathworlders from Earth, tall and sturdy. They wore protective suits that gleamed in the sunlight. Their leader, a woman named Captain Lin, stepped forward. She had short, dark hair and bright eyes that sparkled with determination. "Hello there," Captain Lin said, her voice firm yet friendly. The Therans gathered cautiously, not knowing what to expect. Among them was a young farmer named Tuma, who had lost most of his crops. He squeezed his wife's hand, trying to remain brave. "Are you here to help us?" Tuma asked. His voice trembled with hope. Captain Lin nodded. "We came because we received your message for aid. We are here to help your people." The Therans did not know what to make of the humans. They had heard stories of Deathworlders, known for their toughness and bravery, but they were also known to fight fiercely. To the Therans, who were not familiar with veiled aggression, trust was a slow journey. Captain Lin explained their plans. With advanced technology from Earth, they could create systems to collect and purify water. She introduced her team: Jacob, a robust engineer with a gentle smile; Mia, an expert botanist who loved plants; and Raj, a cheerful medic who always carried a first aid kit. As the team set to work, Tuma and the other Therans watched in amazement. The humans unfolded large machines, which began drawing moisture from the air. Water droplets collected and formed into streams, flowing into containers. It was like magic to the Therans, and soon after, seeps of water were coming from their fields. Mia explained the process, sharing knowledge about crops that would survive in dry conditions. She showed them how to plant seeds that could grow with less water. The Therans listened intently, chatting excitedly among themselves. As the days passed, the trust between the Deathworlders and the Therans grew. Captain Lin shared stories of Earth, of its vibrant cities and vast oceans. In return, the Therans painted tales of their ancient traditions and the harmony they lived in with nature. But in the midst of this budding friendship, a shadow lingered. There were whispers of a storm brewing on the other side of the planet. A group of raiders called the Krolans, known for their ruthless attacks, were moving toward Theron in search of resources. They were aware that the Therans had received aid from creatures of another world. One night, as the team worked late to gather the last of the water, a scout rushed into the makeshift camp. "The Krolans are coming!" he gasped, his eyes wide with fear. Tuma's heart sank. "What will we do?" "We cannot fight them." Captain Lin shared a determined look with her team. "We won't let you face them alone. We have trained for battles. We can defend this village." The Therans stood in awe as the Deathworlders prepared to face the raiders. They had come to help, but now they were ready to protect. Using their knowledge of Earth's combat tactics, they devised a plan. That night, the air was thick with tension. As dawn broke, the Krolans approached. They were bulky and fierce, with eyes that glimmered with malice. The Therans stood behind the humans, fear pulsing through their veins. Captain Lin stepped forward, holding a shiny weapon. "You will leave this place," she shouted, her voice echoing across the valley. The Krolans laughed, dismissing the humans as nuisances. "You are fools to think you can protect what is not yours," one of the raiders taunted. But as the battle broke out, the Deathworlders fought valiantly. They moved swiftly, their training evident in every strike. Jacob created barriers with debris, while Raj tended to any Theran who got hurt. Meanwhile, Tuma found courage he didn't know he had, grabbing a wooden spear and joining the fight alongside the humans. With determination burning, Captain Lin and Mia led the charge, pushing back the raiders. The Therans rallied behind them, emboldened by their strength. For hours, the battle raged until finally, the Krolans, seeing their defeat inevitable, retreated into the distance. Exhausted but victorious, the Therans cheered. They had fought for their home with the help of the Deathworlders. Tuma turned to Captain Lin, tears in his eyes. "You saved us. You are our heroes." Captain Lin smiled, understanding the bond that had formed in the heat of battle. "You fought alongside us, and now we are friends. We will work together to rebuild." Over the days that followed, the Therans and the Deathworlders celebrated their victory. Together, they created a secure system for water, and Theron flourished once more. With trust blossoming like flowers in spring, they bonded over shared dreams, trading knowledge, skills, and stories. As the humans prepared to leave, Captain Lin planted a tree as a symbol of their friendship. Tuma and the others promised to tend to it, reminding them of the courage they had found together. The Deathworlders boarded their ship, and with one last wave, they soared into the sky, leaving behind a thriving planet united in hope and friendship. And as Tuma watched the starship disappear among the clouds, he understood a powerful truth. Aid may come in many forms, but the most unexpected friendships create lasting legacies.